What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. I am Pitching Ninja, and I'm here with that wacky, crazy Mets fan, Will Leahey. He just threw off the Red Sox. No longer Red Sox Will. He's Mets Will until the Mets are out, and then who knows what team he's going to adopt.
Well, Ninja, no reason to be living in the past. The Sox are old news. I'm out of the Mets, but unfortunately, last night got my heart ripped out. It's a tough game, Ninja. I mean, the optimism is not entirely gone. We can win it today, but it was a tough loss. If we don't win this series, I think it unfortunately will be known as the Phil Maton game. I don't like to blame the guy by any means, but it's just really all we can say at this point. One other problem, so the Mets end up losing 5-3. One other thing that Mendoza said after the game that Edwin Diaz was completely healthy and they were just saving him. And I do question a little bit. It's, again, hindsight is easy, but I question a little bit because Maton was clearly struggling and Diaz did have his rest. And I would have liked to see Maton be pulled after he gave up all those hits and all on home runs. But what are you going to do? Anyway, Ninja, what'd you see from the rest of this game?
It was a painful game. This is very out of nowhere comeback here. I thought this game was over. I mean, Frankie Montas had 3 Ks in 3 2/3 innings, giving up 1 earned run, had this 98-mile-an-hour heater, slider, and splitter. Looked okay. Faced Sean Manaea, who had 4 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 2 runs, had this elevated two-seamer. It's absolutely painted two-seamer. And these wicked sweepers, here's an overlay of his sweeper and painted two-seamer. You can see why that combo is effective. But yeah, if I were a Mets fan, I'd feel like I got my heart ripped out. And I grew up a Mets fan, and I had my heart ripped out a ton of times, Will. A ton of times.
It was a tough game, but listen, I can't be too pessimistic yet. There's a game tonight, and that's why we play. And I still got faith in the Mets moving on. And I also just think for baseball's sake, Mets-Phillies is just a far superior series, so every baseball fan should be rooting for the Mets tonight.
You asking for Mr. Airbender to be out of the playoffs, Will?
Absolutely.
I couldn't even tell you who I'm rooting for in this. Like, I grew up a Mets fan, so I guess some part of me likes that, but I just enjoy good baseball, Will. At this point, it's all I have, because as a Atlanta resident, wasn't so good for the Braves yesterday.
Not a good night for the host of the Pitching Ninja show, Ninja.
Really wasn't. The Padres knocked off the Braves 5-4. Joe Musgrove had 4 Ks in 3 2/3 innings, giving up 1 hit and 1 run. He had these fastballs and nasty sweepers. But Musgrove had to leave the game with elbow tightness. That sucks. He faced Max Fried, who had 2 Ks in 2 innings, giving up 5 runs. He had this fastball up to 98 miles an hour. This was his second fastest heater of the year. And then also this wicked 97-mile-an-hour two-seamer, but had to leave the game after he got hit in the hip with a comebacker, and it just tightened up on him. Is this Max Fried's last game as an Atlanta Brave? The problem with the Braves right now is the pitching depth they have. Do you keep Fried knowing that it's going to cost a lot when you have Sale, Strider coming back, Raylo, Schwellenbach? I mean,
it's a good point. I mean, you could make the argument if everyone's healthy, he's their 5th best pitcher. Now, you could also make it that he could be their 2nd, right. But out of those 5 guys, it's possibly he's the 5th best next year.
Yeah, I think every Braves fan would love to see Max Fried back, and Max Fried would love to be back, I'm sure. But Max Fried also has to do what's good for his family. I mean, all bets are off on this.
He's from LA. He'll end up on the Dodgers. Let's be serious.
Now for the rest of yesterday's game, I thought the best pitch game yesterday was from Hunter Brown, who had 9 Ks in 5 2/3 innings, giving up 2 hits and 1 run, and these upper 90s fastballs, this backdoor two-seamer, these cutters, sliders, knuckle curves, and changeup. And still, the Astros lost 5-2 to the Tigers, who swept the Astros. Behind Tyler Holton, the opener, who had 1 K and 1 scoreless inning, had the sinker and picked up a sword.
Tigers, awesome story. They've been horrible pretty much my whole life. Their highest guy on the payroll is Javi Baez, who strikes out 6 times as much as he walks and just isn't good at baseball anymore. This team, they've really just put together a ragtag crew of guys, and they pulled it off, and they look awesome. They're hitting all over the place. Scuba looks like the best pitcher in baseball. Their bullpen is sensational. They're a fun team, Ninja. I'd love for them to just keep pounding it.
I would too, because my son has actually played on a baseball team with 2 of their players, one of them being Brant Herter, who is his roommate.
Herter, I barely know her.
The other being Jay Hen, who also played for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. So basically, it's the Detroit Yellow Jackets. You go, Tigers. The other thing I had an idea here, Will. I know the Tigers are going with Tarek Skubal and Chaos is their philosophy. Do you know what a group of Tigers is called, Will?
I don't.
It is called an ambush. You see where I'm going? Tarek Skubal and the ambush. We're doing that. We have Skubal, and then we're just going to ambush them with our team of relievers, our full bullpen of nasty arms, our arm barn or arm farm or whatever we want to call it. That's what I'm going with. The Royals advanced over the Orioles 2-1. Seth Lugo had 6 Ks in 4 1/3 innings, giving up 1 run. His fastball velo is up this game, a little over a mile an hour. He topped out at 96 and was actually up on all of his pitches. He had these nasty changeups, wicked slurve, and of course, his buzzsaw curveballs at over 3,300 RPMs. Here's an overlay of a sinker that was fouled off and his slurve. You can see how tough that is to hit. And he faced Zach Eflin, who had 3 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 1 run, and had this cutter. Now under the filthiest relievers from yesterday, Brian Abreu had this 99-mile-an-hour heater. Cionel Perez had this slider. Reed Garrett had this dirty splitter. Brennan Hannafy had this 95-mile-an-hour painted sinker. Yoel Payamps had this sinker and got absolutely fired up. And this is one thing I love about the postseason. You see a lot of emotion. John Schreiber had this heater. Tanner C's wicked sliders. Will Vest had this 98-mile-an-hour fastball at the knees. And Angel Serpa had this slider and this fastball, which unfortunately added injury to insult, actually fracturing Cowser's hand here. And I had a bunch of people on X go, why did he swing at this? Or couldn't he pick up the spin of this ball? If you can't pick up the spin, you don't deserve to be in the box. And then some Orioles fans who are actually hoping that Cowser got knocked out of the lineup, which to me is a just god-awful, heinous take. I understand y'all are upset, but don't do that. Anyway, you can see here why you might swing at this pitch. Colton Cowser is a solid baseball player. Serpa threw a slider earlier in the at-bat, is just below the zone. This fastball was just above that slider in the same tunnel as that slider. Cowser's trying to come up big, get a big hit here. Thought it was going to be another slider in the zone, was ready to tee off on it. It ended up being a fastball, but you don't have time to react. And for those who think hitters should pick up spin, well, just take it from Greg Maddux and Brent Rooker about how hitters hit and whether they actually really do pick up spin. How well do hitters recognize spin, you think?
If they're actually swinging and trying to hit, I don't think they see it that good.
You can't be aggressive enough and then base a swing decision on spin because it takes too long for your brain to see the spin, process the spin, and make a decision based on the spin. You're making your decision based on other factors.
My top 5 filthiest pitches of the day yesterday. At number 5 goes to Will's favorite pitcher, Beau Brieske, for this painted 99-mile-an-hour heater. Great pitch there.
To Beau Brieske!
Number 4, Hunter Brown for all his filthy stuff. And honestly, he'd be higher on this list if the Astros would have won the game. I'm sorry, I make the rules. And number 3, Lucas Erceg for this filthy changeup, closing out the game. And number 2, Seth Lugo for all his filthy stuff. And at number 1, Trevor Megill for this 101-mile-an-hour absolute dot, as well as these filthy knuckle curves. And now, my pitching ninja moment of Zen. This is an awesome moment of baiting. My picks of the day today, I'm going to take Tobias Myers for under 4.5 Ks and Jose Quintana for under 4.5 Ks. I just think both managers are going to have quick hooks. And then I'm going to take Jackson Chourio to have at least 1 hit and Jose Iglesias to have at least 1 hit. What would your picks of the day be?